Hello, my name is John Pierce and I'm the staff advisor for the Appalachian State University Disc Golf Club. 2020 was a pretty crazy year, so I thought to start off the new year, we should do a series of videos. And I thought, well, why don't we do some in the bag videos? What we're throwing in 2021. Now my discs are going to be a little bit different than the younger players, but just remember that you can get these discs in higher weights to fit your game. So let's get started. I'll start with my putting putters. My close in circle one putting putter is the MVP Ohm. I have this in neutron plastic. This is the premium plastic from MVP. And what I like about this disc is that it has the overmold, which gives you the grip, gives me the grip I like, and it also gives the grip on the chains that I like, but it also comes in the premium plastic. So I can throw this for a long time and it will retain its flight characteristics. It also has a bead on it, which I really like. This is very similar to a Streamline Pilot or a Prodigy P Model S. It's a 5 glide, so it gives a little bit of extra glide getting to the basket. So this is what I like to use to putt from close in, is the MVP Ohm. Further out, I use baseline plastic DISCRAFT Page Pierce Fierce. This is a 1 in 500 stamp. I really like this disc because you don't have to give it as much power and it'll still get good glide because of its understability. So if I'm at circle's edge, I can almost throw it right at the basket and it'll flip up a little bit and it just give you that extra glide you need to get to the basket. So I'm putting with this from 40 to 80 feet. Page Pierce Fierce from DISCRAFT. So now to my throwing discs. I'll start with approach discs, putters, and mid-ranges. From understable to overstable, my most understable approach disc is the Page Pierce Fierce. This one's in premium plastic. This is the 991 stamp. I use this for off the tee backhand turnovers or longer range backhand turnovers, longer than a putt. So anywhere from 120 to 170 feet, I'm throwing this, maybe even closer in, 100 feet, around a tree, backhand, because that's all I've got. This is going to be understable and it's going to get around that curve for you. This is premium plastic Page Pierce Fierce. The next disc in my bag, which is also understable, is again a Page Pierce. This is the 5X Soul. This is going to be for longer range turnover shots. So all the way up to maybe 250 to 300 you could throw this. For beginner players, this is going to be right out of the box. This is going to be a good glidey disc. For the more advanced players, this is going to be a turnover disc. It's not going to fade back much. This is also a good hyzer flip disc. Put it on a little bit of angle, flips up, it turns over just a little bit and will glide forever and ever. So really good turnover disc. Page Pierce 5X Soul in Z plastic. The next disc in my bag is a 400 plastic PA3. This disc is for tunnel shots, mainly off the tee. So like 150 to 170, maybe up to 200 feet straight. This has a little bit of high-speed turn and a little bit of low-speed fade. So if I throw this flat and hard, it's going to turn just a little bit to the right and finish a little bit to the left. But it's not going to go over 10 feet to the right or 10 feet to the left. So this is going to be a really straight disc for me to throw off the tee. It's a PA3 and Prodigy's Premium 400 plastic. Next is my favorite disc. It's a V-Rock from INNOVA. This is a point and shoot mid-range. This is something that I like to throw off the tee and in the fairway. This is a good beginner, intermediate, and advanced disc. You can put this on some anhyzer and it'll keep the anhyzer line. Throw it flat and it'll stay flat. Throw it on hyzer and it'll give you a gentle hyzer. Throw it at lower speeds on anhyzer and it'll give you a nice little flex. Throw it lower speeds flat and it'll do a nice fade. I like this disc to throw really hard off the tee and really straight. So this is going to be in the 270 range right at the basket. I have it right now in star plastic. In the summertime, I'll switch to the Champ to give me that little bit stiffer feel. In the cold weather, the star plastic works really well. Probably one of the most underrated discs from INNOVA is the V-Rock. Beaded, has a concave rim, so it's a little bit different, but it's a really nice disc. Next disc is the Star Rat. I got this disc for straight at the basket shots with a forehand in the woods. You can also throw this backhand right at the basket off the tee if that's what you'd like to do. The flight numbers are 4203. I would say it's more like a 4201. The farther you throw it, the more low speed fade it's going to have. But for me, I'm throwing this inside 150 and I'm throwing it right at the basket. It's not beaded, so this is a great forehand disc, and it's a point and shoot. Now, I have one in 172 grams, and I have one in 157 grams. Now, why do I have two of the same disc in different weights? This is going to hold its flight characteristics at 172 grams when I can put a full rip on it. When I can throw it as hard as I can forehand, it's going to give you the flight characteristics that it's supposed to have. But if you have an obstructed backswing, you're going to need a little bit more on it, or you can reduce the weight and be able to get the same amount of spin on it to let the disc do what it's supposed to do. So I use the lighter weight ones when I'm obstructed and I have to have shorter backswing, so I can use the lighter weight disc to get the momentum going forward a little bit quicker. Point and shoot straight at the basket, Star Rat. Same with the next disc, and this is one of the favorite discs in my bag, is the PRODIGY A2. I have them in two different plastics and two different weights. This one's the 350 plastic. This is going to be your baseline grippy plastic. This one's really old and beat up. It's got chunks out of it. It's misformed, but it's still very overstable. The other ones this is a 154 gram A2. This is in the 170 class A2, and this is the Happy Holidays stamp. So happy holidays, everybody. From AppState Disc Golf. And the difference between the two is the baseline plastic and lighter plastic. If I have an obstructed, I can still get that A2 going forward. And since it's beat up, it'll fly flat for a lot longer and then it'll really hyzer out at the low speed fade. Whereas the heavier premium plastic, it's going to hyzer right out of your hand. I mean, this is going to turn left quickly when you're throwing backhand. It's going to turn right quickly when you're throwing a forehand. This is good for up shots. It's good for off the tee. It's good for flex shots. It's good for getting out of trouble. This is a really versatile disc. I have the premium plastic for skips, and I have the baseline plastic for going right at the basket. The problem with the baseline plastic in the A2 is that a lot of times you're coming in at a high angle. It won't skip, but it'll dance. So if you have a sloped green, it may roll away because it's not going to land. It's going to land very, very differently than it would with the premium plastic. A2 from PRODIGY, one of the best discs out there. Last mid-range approach disc is the Rock X3. This has become one of my favorite discs in my bag. This is my 270 to 300 foot straight shot with a gentle fade. It's a little bit more stable than a traditional rock, so it gives you that little bit harder bite in the low speed fade, which I really like. I like being able to throw this through a tunnel shot and be able to hit that dog leg really hard at the end if that's what I need to do. If I'm throwing an approach shot in windy conditions, I'm going to grab this Rock X3 because it's overstable. Now, I really like the flat top ones. This one is super flat top. I got this one from DGU and it was labeled flat top, so I grabbed this sucker up. I got a couple more in XT plastic and Champ plastic. These are excellent discs. Also has a bead on it in the Rock family. Rock X3. Now to my mid-range discs, my fairway drivers. I'll start with my most understable disc. Probably the most understable disc I have in my bag is a PRODIGY F2 in 400G plastic. The 400G plastic is some of the best plastic that PRODIGY makes. It's very grippy, but it's really durable, so it's going to keep its flight characteristics throughout its lifetime. So I carry a lot of the Prodigy discs in 400G plastic. This is a 149 gram F2. This is really beat in. I don't throw this backhand at all. And even if I did, it's not good for a roller because it's only 142 grams. I mean 149 grams, so it's not going to be able to cut through the grass and twigs and sticks and leaves that you're rolling through like a heavier disc would. So this is a mainly forehand disc. This is a get out of jail free card. This is when you're scrambling, you need to throw a forehand that needs to go left. So I can throw this flat and it'll turn, a high speed turn, and it'll fade out. I can throw it with some more anhyzer and it'll continue to turn and never fade out. And I can throw it with lots of anhyzer and throw rollers. And this is a great forehand roller disc. If I need to get out and around and roll, this is it right here. It's also good for overhands. It's going to turn left, or thumbers. It's going to turn right. Really, really good utility disc. It doesn't really have the characteristics of a typical F2, which would be more like an Eagle with like a -1.3 flight characteristics. This is a ridiculously understable utility disc. Next in the stability is the Leopard. I've got the Leopard in star plastic. This is the Throw Pink stamp. This is the more stable of my Leopards. Because it's a little bit heavier and in the star plastic, it's a little bit more stable. But because it has a -2 turn on it, this disc flies absolutely dead straight for me. It barely fades. I mean, if I throw it down a valley, it's going to fade out. Any disc will. But I'm throwing this at 300 feet right at the pin, 200 feet right at the pin, 275 right at the pin. If I need something fast to go get there, this is it right here. Great disc. This is a Star Leopard from INNOVA. I also have a pre-flight number DX Leopard. I only keep this in my bag if I need to throw a roller. This is 169 grams, so it can cut through the sticks and twigs and grass. If I throw this flat, it's going to push and then roll. And if I put it on some anhyzer, it's going to go straight to the ground and roll. DX Leopard. Next disc in my bag and under stability is the MVP Inertia in the Proton plastic. This is premium plastic. This is a 9.5 -2, 158 grams. I'm flipping this up to flat and then fading out. I'm throwing this on flat and getting a good flex shot out of it. I'm throwing this on a forehand hyzer and getting that good push before it fades, or I'm throwing it flat and getting a good S-curve through the woods. This is a fantastic disc for beginners and advanced players alike. It's just a really good versatile disc to have in your bag, the MVP Inertia Proton Plastic. Very similar to the Inertia is the DISCRAFT Mantis. This is also a -2.2. The difference between my Inertia and the Mantis is this is about 8 grams heavier. So I'm going to throw this in windier conditions. I'm also throwing this forehand for not quite as much flip, but I can still get a good straight push with this. Great forehand disc. It's a little more pop top than the Inertia, so it's got a little more glide on it. But this is a really great disc. They're hard to find, but the DISCRAFT Mantis in the bag. Next disc in stability is the Black Star T-Bird. Love the Black Star T-Bird. I ordered this. This is one of the first discs I ordered that was lightweight. After Dave George at INNOVA suggested I throw lightweight discs, this was the one I ordered on DGU. It's 157 gram, Avery Jenkins, almost puddle top. It is flat as can be, and it's money. This is a slow, gentle hyzer. If I throw this on flat, it's going to stay flat and gentle hyzer out that low speed fade. If I throw it on a little bit of hyzer, it's going to hold that gentle hyzer the entire way. It's not going to hit the ground hard. It's going to just fade out nice and gentle. Classic Star T-Bird, Avery Jenkins puddle top. I do not forehand the T-Bird. the rim on it's a little bit too thin for me. I have really big hands, and the rim on the T-Bird just isn't deep enough for me to get it. But the F1 from Prodigy, again in the 400G plastic, is going to be the most versatile fairway driver I have in my bag. Because it has a little wider rim, I can forehand this disc really well. I can put it on an Anheuser line and have it flex out. I can throw this backhand and I know it's going to finish hard. This one's really beat in. It's one of my oldest discs in my bag, and so now it flies really straight for a long time and has a really hard finish. This is just a fantastic disc, the Prodigy F1, and a little bit heavier, 159 grams, good in wind, just a great all-around disc, F1. All right, now to my distance drivers. I don't have many of these because we don't play a lot of courses that need them. Plus I play from the amateur tees, which doesn't demand a lot of high-speed drivers. But there are some courses where they are needed, and there's some shots where they're needed. So I'll start with my most understable disc. This is a 150 gram Pro Destroyer. This is out of the box. This fit the flight numbers perfectly. It was a -1.3 right out of the box. Now that it's beat in a little bit, it's more like a -2 or a -3. I can hyzer flip this. I can throw huge flex shots. This is for shots wide open where I can just bomb it. This is also a really good disc for forehand hyzer flips in the woods that needs that really tight finish at the end, where you got to get around that corner that's, you know, almost 300 feet. You got to get around that corner. I'm throwing this on a hyzer and letting it flip up to flat, letting it glide out, and then really having that really deep finish with the Pro Destroyer, 150 grams from INNOVA. Next one is, again in 400G plastic, the Prodigy X4. The X4 is a little bit more stable than my Destroyer because it's 155 grams. I don't think the flight numbers out of the box are the same. I think the X4 is a little bit more understable on the flight numbers, but the way they throw in my bag, the Destroyer is a little bit more understable for me than the X4. This is my longest distance driver right here. This is what I put on hyzer. It's going to flip up to flat, and it's going to glide for a really, really long time and have a soft finish. The difference between the X4 and the Destroyer, and their flight paths are almost the same, is that the Destroyer is going to have the really hard left finish when you're throwing backhand, and the X4 is going to have a more gentle finish in the low speed fade. This is a pop top. The Destroyer is not. This has a nice little heartbeat on it. This is good forehand. It's got a nice wide rim. I can throw this in the woods and I can flip it up to flat and have a nice gentle finish, as opposed to trying to get around a corner with the Destroyer. Prodigy X4 in 400G plastic. That's 155 grams. Newest to my bag is the Pro Thunderbird. I'm looking for a longer T-Bird. I need something I can throw nice and straight. If I'm throwing this straight, it's going to fly straight for a long time, and nice gentle fade, like a slower X4 or a faster T-Bird. So I've got the Pro Thunderbird, 158 grams in the bag. Now on the more stable side, this is a step up from the Thunderbird. This is going to be a little harder finish, but it is going to fly a lot straighter and longer. Is the H1, also in 400G plastic. This is 160 grams. It's going to fight the wind a little bit better when I'm playing in some windy conditions. This is going to go around corners forehand and backhand. It's going to fly a little bit straighter than some of the harder finishing ones, like the last disc in my bag, but this is going to be, I know I can rely on this to finish hard at the end, and that's a Prodigy H1 in the 400G plastic. Last disc in my bag, and one of the most overstable, is, and I only like these in certain plastic, this is the Champion flat top pearly luster Firebird. And this one is really flat top. And I want to thank Sun King. They had these. They're hard to find. They had a couple of these in stock, and I bought them both. This one's 165 grams. This is going to go around the corner. This is going to be a flick. This is going to be a backhand around the corner. This is going to be, even at slow speeds, it's going to have an even harder fade, so I can throw this in up shots, trick shots. It's good to throw overhand. If you don't want it to go left or right, this is just going to go dead straight, and it might roll for a long time, but I know where it's going to go. I can hit that small gap between the trees. If I need to get up the fairway or need to get up the course, this is going to be the disc to use. This is a really nice disc, and I have 2 of these, so I hope I never lose it, because these pearly flat top Firebirds are really hard to find and really nice. So that's all the discs in my bag. I do have some other things I carry in my bag. I carry a mini. I don't use the mini very much, but if I do need to reuse my disc that I just threw, I will put down the mini and reuse my disc. This one is Nature Trail Disc Golf Course. There's a lot of these in North Carolina. You can log your rounds at their website, and they'll send you free stuff. I got this mini by logging rounds. I have a backup mini in case somebody on your card in a tournament needs one. You don't want to be that guy. What else do I have? I have a caddy book. If I ever go to a new course, I've got a pen and a piece of paper here. I can write down what discs to use, what discs not to use, what the conditions were, whatever it might be. And if you decide to keep it on your digital device when you get home, you can just transfer it over when you get home. It's a lot easier to write it down out there real quick on the course and then do it at the house on your phone or on your computer. So caddy book's always good to have. I also carry a clipboard for the scorecard. A lot of the scorecards are going digital now, and I think that's the wave of the future, but a lot of people in a lot of tournaments still have physical scorecards. It's really easy to write it on this clipboard. Again, there's a Sun King sticker on the back of mine. They are awesome. They sponsored our disc golf tournament on campus a couple years ago, so shout out to Sun King down in Florida. They also host Throw Down the Mountain every year, so I know they put a lot of work into that, and it's an awesome tournament. I also carry a rule book, just in case, you never know. I'm gonna be out there, don't know the rules. You know, always play a provisional, but you can always check the rule book. I also carry sunscreen. I wanna keep my skin safe out there, so sunscreen, always have that on me. Also wanna protect your eyes, so I have an extra pair of contacts. Just in case, you never know. Might get some in your eye. In addition, some one-use eye droppers, windy conditions, need some drops in your eyes to see your putt and whatever. Good stuff right here, single use. Pencils and little accessories. Always gotta stay hydrated with the Hydro Flask. I got towel, gotta have a towel. This one's just a microfiber from INNOVA. These are nice, they have printed scenes on them. Works really well. Also a sport sack. This one's from Castaplast. Works really well in those muggy summer days when you're trying to play disc golf in the South and you need a little extra grip. These work really well. And the last thing is the touch. It's a towel, it's a pouch. You can put extra putters in here. You can put snacks. You can put litter you pick up. You can use it as a towel. You can put your hands in here to warm them. These things are really useful and they're really cool. So shout out to Touch. Go check them out. Well, that's it for my In the Bag. Look forward to seeing some other videos from the team members coming up. Hope everybody has a happy new year. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. See you next time.